Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Mila. In this video we are going to be making this beautiful pleated dress using my new Amelia Dress pattern, which is perfect for special occasions like prom or friends' wedding. It also looks great in casual style with sneakers or leopards. To sew this dress, choose structured fabrics so that the pleats and gathers hold their shape. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you a tip on how to make the head of the sleeve puffy if your fabric is a little flowy. The rhinestones that were added to the dress are completely optional. I'm going to show you how I did that, in case you wanna make it, because I do think they are gorgeous. I also use medium weight fusible interfacing to stabilize the belt and facing. And of course the Amelia Dress pattern. You can download the pattern at my online shop, I'll leave a link in the description. Cut out the pattern pieces and mark the darts, pleats and other notches. Transfer the front and back darts to your fabric using chalk or a fabric pencil. Apply the interfacing to the wrong side of the pieces to avoid their stretching. Before use, please check on a piece of your fabric. Pin the darts at the front and back bodice pieces. Stitch the darts, starting at the bottom to the top of the dart. Tie the threads of the dart into a double knot and then snip the excess threads away. Press the waist darts toward the center and the bust darts toward the top. Here is how the pieces should look. Overlock the edges of the pieces as shown in the picture. Join the front to the back bodice right sides together at the shoulder and side seams. Pin in place and stitch using 3/8 inches 1 cm seam allowances. Press the seams open. Stitch the front and back skirts right sides together and press the seams open. Starting from the center of the skirt, make the pleats matching the marks of your size. This is the whole process of making the pleats. When making the center back pleat, leave a 3/8 inches 1 cm seam allowance for the center back seam. The pleats on the front and back skirts are formed identically. Make sure that the pleats on the skirt match the darts on the bodice. After that, stitch 3/16 inches 5 mm along the top of the skirt to fix all the pleats. Join the skirts to the bodice, matching the darts, pleats and side seams. Pin in place and stitch using 3/8 inches 1 cm seam allowances. All of the seam allowances together. Press up toward the bodice. Join the back skirts right sides together. Align them along the back center seam, matching the waistline. Leaving 3/8 inches 1 cm from the top edge, place the closed zipper along the center seam allowances. Measure your actual zipper length and make a notch. Add 5/8 inches 1.5 cm up from this notch. Pin in place and stitch along the center seam. Open the zipper. Using the invisible zipper foot, stitch down the zipper. Mark where the waistline is on the other side of the zipper. Fix carefully close to the tip of the zipper and then make some back stitches along the center seam allowance. Make sure the waistline is lined up perfectly. Sew in the same direction from top to bottom on each side of the zipper. Stitch the zipper tape to the seam allowances close to the edge. Press the center seam open. Hand stitch the seam allowance at the waist seam. Join the front and back facing right sides together at the shoulder. Stitch the shoulder seams and press them open. Or lock the lower edge of the facing. Place the facing to the neck edge of the dress right side to right side. Pin and stitch the neckline seam. Trim off the excess seam allowance of the facing. Make small notches a 1/4 inch 5 mm along the curved seam allowance to help the facing lay flat once it's turned out. Unfold the facing and turn the seam allowance to the facing side. Make a top stitch close to the seam line. Press the neckline edge. Clip the corners. The step with the button and loop is optional. I'm gonna show you if you wanna make it. At the center back, fold the edge of the facing in to meet the zipper teeth. Pin it where the seam line should be. Unfold the facing and sew along this line. Fold the sleeve along the side edges right sides together, pin in place and sew a 3/8 inches 1 cm seam allowance. Press the seams open. Using the longest stitch available, make 2 rows of ease stitches along the sleeve head between the marks 2 and 3. Turn the dress to the wrong side. Insert the sleeve to the armhole, right side to right side, matching the marks and side seams. Pull the threads, gathering the sleeve head. Sew armholes and then search the seam allowance. Moving on to the bottom of the sleeves and cuffs. Make folds at the bottom of the sleeves. Secure with the stitch 3/16 stitches 5 mm from the edge. Using the longest stitch available, make a row of ease stitches along the lower edge. Pull the threads, gathering the bottom edges. The circumference of the bottom of the sleeve should match the cuff. Fold the cuff in half, right sides together, aligning the side edges. Stitch and then press the seam allowances open. Then fold the cuff in half lengthwise one side together and press it. Unfold the cuff and join it with the sleeve right sides together, matching the seams. Pin in place and stitch the bottom edge. Clip the corners of the seam allowances. Then fold the half by 3 inches 1 cm and pin it to the sleeve on the wrong side. Hand stitch the folded edge with a blind hem stitch. Moving on to the hem. Draw the hem seam line. Fold the hem by 3 inches 1 cm and press it. Fold the hem again by 1 9/16 inches 4 cm to the marked line and pin in place. Hand stitch the folded edge with a blind hem stitch. Fold the belt lengthwise right sides together and pin in place. Stitch, leaving a gap approximately 2 inches or 5 cm to turn the belt out. Cut along one side of the seam allowance to reduce the fabric by half to 1/3 of its original width. Turn the belt right side out and form sharp corners. Press the belt and then hand stitch the gap. Make embroidery in the center of the belt. The pattern of the embroidery you can find in the sewing instructions. To keep the volume of the sleeve, take soft tule mesh 3 inches or 8 cm wide and 22 or 55 cm long. Cut out 3 pieces for each sleeve. Stitch them together using the longest stitch available. Pull the threads gathering the edge. In my case, the length of the gathered edge is 7 inches or 18 cm. Pin it along the seam allowance of the sleeve and stitch. If your fabric holds its shape well, this step is optional. And that's it. Your Amelia dress is ready to dress up and enjoy! I'd love if you could give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Have a happy sewing and thanks for watching!